rules of engagement, when not to engage. And because they have an economic calendar with the non-farm payroll this week, I don't like non-farm payroll. Have I made money on non-farm payroll with real live trading? Yes. Have I lost a lot of money on non-farm payroll with real live trading? Yes. The latter is more likely to occur and has been in the past over my career. So, doesn't it make sense if I know that's an area where I'm prone to do it wrong? What did he say? This can't be ICT. ICT's too arrogant. He would never say something like that. No. I have found that most of my losses occur in certain times of the month where the economic calendar broadcasts it beforehand. And because I was falling victim to everybody else on, at the time, message boards on American Online. Oh man, I killed it in non-farm payroll. Okay, I didn't see them trade it, but I just read what they said they made. What? That means I'm missing out. Let me go here. And every single time I would regret it. And it would be less money in my account as a result. So I came to the conclusion that these people are full of shit. And I didn't watch them trade. They didn't even show me a broker statement. They just said they made this. And I learned later on that this is actually them lying to themselves and everyone else that would lend their ear or read their crap because they want to be coddled. They want to be nudged like, wow, you must really know what you're doing. And that's a band-aid mentally because they really blew their shit. They lost their money and now they're going to act like they got it all figured out when they really don't. And that's why this industry sucks in a lot of ways because there's a lot of fakes. And they may not come out with the intent to be a fake or a fraud or trying to scam anyone. They may not even be selling anything. But if you take the time to listen to other people, and they're usually the braggarts, the people that don't really have anything to show for what they're saying, but they're really critical of other people too, they aren't profitable. They're not making money. Because believe me, folks, if people are making money in this day and age, believe me, they're going to shove it down your throat. They're going to prove it even when you're not asking for it. And when you said you've seen enough, they're going to still shove it down your throat. Think about it. This whole world right now, look what you're listening to. You're listening to me right now pontificate about things that probably you don't feel are useful to you, but they really are. Do you have a filter? Are you filtering out all these people that like to get on the internet, on Twitter, and do things and say things that they can't really back up with any evidence that those things took place? And that's how I fell victim to non-farm payroll. I listened to other people bloviate about how much they made. Maybe they made a profitable trade later in the day, but if they took 6 trades and the previous 5 were losing trades, and they're only talking about how they made money on that one trade, and their net loss for the day isn't really being talked about, is that genuine? No. But that's them putting on that mental band-aid. That's what social media has done. It's allowed people to put social band-aids on their character flaws. They virtue signal what it is I'm teaching, because what I'm teaching is very easy. But the complication is you have to get out of your own way. And one of the things I helped to get myself out of my own way was make very rigid rules around how I'm going to conduct myself in the marketplace. When am I allowed to do anything? And here's the hard time. When am I not allowed to do anything? Think about it. A child is not taught how to be a misbehaving little being. It just knows it by nature. Well, in trading, all of us are like children. Yeah, that means what? We can tend to do things to get ourselves in harm's way. And you have to have boundaries. You have to set them as the analyst. Because if you don't do that as the analyst, the trader in you is going to listen to the gambler. Just like it did when I was on America Online. Non-farm payroll, man. it's going to move around, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. And if you buy this package here, it'll send you a signal. And if it's a red box, that means you sell it. And if it's a green box, you buy it. We know what the news is going to do. We know what the numbers are going to do. Man, that was garbage. Just because you have time to be in front of the charts, just because you have margin in your account, just because these candlesticks are painting and you have time to be in front of the next session, doesn't mean that this is the safest thing for you to do or the most profitable. Every individual calendar event that's high impact or medium impact event, I treat that as that very thing, just on a very smaller scale. In other words, I'm expecting volatility to be injected into the marketplace. Something happens by that data being released, and the market is either organically or artificially manipulated. And what does that mean? Well, the algorithm's going to do what it normally does, or manual intervention comes in and they will reprice to a specific level, and it usually is immediate, kind of like an interest rate announcement coming out by FOMC, something like that. If the Fed comes out or another country comes out and says, okay, we're going to cut interest rates by a full basis point, something unexpected, boom, they reprice immediately. That's not buying and selling pressure. That's at central bank level. They're saying it's our currency, it's our commodity, it's our product, it's our good. And guess what? Who sets the price? We do. And we don't care if you're long or short, and too bad. Pound sand. Those types of events, you can't really predict. So what I like to do is wait for the news to hit the market and then basically go into price and see if there is something that would be manipulated to match my narrative, my bias, my trading model. If those three things agree, and the event is now been introduced to the marketplace, that being volatility based on the data that's being released by that report, then I'll go in and look to engage. But I will never frame the day after a holiday as high probability, ever. Because that market is ripe to be manipulated on a manual basis. That means someone can come in and do something that you won't expect. And I don't want to be able to look back and say, well, I usually lose money in that situation, and I took the chance today and I lost again. I wish I would have learned my lesson. I don't want to have that again. So what I like to do is look at the marketplace, respect the risk, come up with an idea, an opinion, and see if it pans out. And then when it doesn't pan out, in my journal, those entries are like this. This is one more instance where I'm glad I have these rules of engagement that keeps me from participating in the marketplace because I expected this and the model didn't materialize. This is what took place. Had I not followed my rules, I would have suffered a monetary loss with this idea. Now, am I critiquing myself? Yes. Am I being negative about it? No. I'm re-emphasizing the fact that I've done things correctly, but also recording the fact that if I was to follow the model, or a model, I have lots of models, but if I followed a model that I had in mind beforehand, when I've already adopted the mindset based on rules of engagement, things that I have to know when I'm going to do something, when I can't do something, days after holidays, I am likely to sit still. Well, it's the same thing with trading without stop loss. Yeah, I know where I want to get out at. Yeah. That doesn't work, folks. Listen to me, okay? And I know there's people in here that are teaching other people, even have YouTube channels, and they don't use stop losses, and they try to justify why they don't use a stop loss. There is no justification for it. Zero. Learn how to mitigate risk, how to define risk, then go back to teaching. Because if you're not using a stop loss, you are gambling. And the only thing you're teaching other people is, guess what? You're Nostradamus. You know what the market's going to do. Think about it. If you're saying that you don't need to put a stop loss in because you know where you're going to get out when your trade's wrong, what happens when it reprices aggressively and you didn't expect that repricing to occur so aggressively? And it moves way beyond what your safe exit point would have been or what you're willing to lose. You're crushed. And if anybody's watched you trade that way, which conveniently they never let anyone see that, those individuals are learning to do that very thing in their own trading. Now, is that, in my opinion, and I think you would agree too, is that the right kind of leadership and or mentor or teacher when it comes to risking money? I would humbly submit no. Because what they're doing is trading by itself is already inherently risky. And you have to have a way to control yourself. You have to control how much you risk, your leverage, the amount of money per trade, how much of a stop loss you're going to allow in terms of points or pips. You have to place a limit on that. What days of the week are you going to trade? Are you going to trade any old time? I teach what? A kill zone. And we're shorting. We want to see it go up first. That's what institutional traders do. They have mechanisms. They have to wait for the market to have an uptick before they can go short. So I adopted that with my perspective and price. I need to see what first. It needs to go higher. Okay, so where does it need to go to? Above some measure of equilibrium. So I'm having all these rules and these control mechanisms placed in my logic because it's an algorithm that's pricing these markets and it's booking them. And they have what? Control mechanisms, filters. So I'm aligning myself with an algorithmic principle-oriented trading model. But if you are teaching, or if you're learning from someone that's not using a stop loss and preaches they don't need to use a stop loss because they know where they're going to get out, what they're saying is they know what the market's going to do, absolutely. So therefore, they don't need a stop loss. That is the definition of arrogance. I am not arrogant. I'm confident. Probably sometimes too blisteringly confident for some. But I do have limitations. And to teach or to illustrate trading without a stop loss, there is no other way to say it, folks. This is the way it is. Those individuals that are doing that are saying they know what the market's going to do. Now, they may say it and believe it, but that's not true. I don't know what the market's going to do. I have to use a stop loss. I know it's likely to do this or that, but I have to use a stop loss. Why? Because I'm human. I may have done something wrong. I may have shirked a rule of engagement, bent the rules a little bit. I've done that in the past, and I'm human. Sometimes I think, this looks like it's trying to do this. I want to do that, but it looks like it's doing this. And I'll just toss in something small. But I'm using a stop loss. Why? Because I don't know what the manual side of intervention is going to do. And nobody knows that. That's the risk that is always in the offing. You have to have that that awareness of that potentially harming you. And if you're learning from someone, or if you're trying to do this without using a stop loss, what you're saying is you have no boundaries. That means whatever the market wants to do to you, you're inviting it. Now, there are times when manual intervention comes in and a major repricing in the market asset takes place, and your stop loss necessarily will be of no protection to you. And what does that mean? You might have a 20 handle stop loss on your index futures trade. Now, I'm not arguing or making the case that 20 handles is the appropriate size, but let's just say for the discussion here, say you have 20 points, okay? And the market has some kind of major announcement comes out, or someone gets bombed. Boom, the market just gaps. 40 handles. Think you can't do that? Stick around, because you're going to see stuff like that real soon. But what happens with your stop loss? Does the market and the broker say, hey, Jane had her stop loss at 42.50. Okay. but it gapped 43.10. Oh, it can't move like that. Either direction, it can do that. No problem, given the right circumstance. They're not going to go back and say, okay, Jane's stop was at 50, so we're going to honor that and get her out there, and we're going to mark to market in her account based on that understanding. They're not going to do that, folks. They're not going to do it. So, yes, you need a stop loss. Yes, sometimes your stop loss doesn't give you the protection that you hold true that it would likely give you. That's the underlying risk. That's why this is not meant for everyone. And for some of you, you're probably thinking, man, this is something I didn't really think about this. I don't think I can do this. Guess what? That's probably true. And maybe I've saved you a lot of hardship and monetary loss because you probably wouldn't learn until you lost a lot of money that you probably can't do this. But for those individuals that know that you've been bitten by the bug and you're not going to take no for an answer, you have to use a stop loss because it's a rule of engagement. You have to have it. You don't know what that market's going to do. You don't know how far they're going to take it against your idea. If the market's not providing you an atmosphere or environment that provides it in a way where it's symmetrical, all things being equal, risk on, risk off, liquidity's obvious, the market's moving very nice, clean price levels. It means it creates imbalances, it comes back, rebalances, and then starts to expand in the direction you want to see it. Order flow is working in your favor. All those things are firing on all cylinders. That's the environment you want to be trading in. And that's what I teach you how to identify. But I'm also teaching you, and some of you are kicking and screaming, you don't want to learn the lessons when to stay out. Because guess what? That's being told you can't do something by daddy. A lot of you have daddy issues. You don't want to be told when you can and can't do something. Don't try to trade with a 2-pip stop loss because you see other people saying they can do it. Listen, I can. Doesn't mean I do. Do you hear that? I can, but it doesn't mean I do. Just because you see somebody else do something, that means that they've said they've done something already. It's hindsight. They've done something. That's not an invitation for you to try to replicate that. The circumstances that caused that event, even if they did make money, you can't go back in time and do that with them. And you can't take every instance of when someone else said something, just like with my lessons and my teachings. They're going to be fractal. They look similar, but they're not exactly identical. And some of you, like my uncle was, he's very finite. It has to be black or white. It has to be this or that. And it can't be close to it, but still worth taking a shot and using a stop loss and see what happens. If you're too analytical, two things have to be in the fine print exactly this way each time, you are going to struggle. And there's no shorter way of saying it and more direct. You are going to struggle. The market's not going to bend to make it easier for you. You're going to have to endure and learn that you have to trade in the gray, where it looks like something you've seen before. But because it could be wrong, and you as the operator, you as the trader, following the analyst, you have to incur that risk. And you have to keep at bay the gambler that says, come on, man, don't listen to this guy, man. Look, you see the chart. You've done 14 other trades where he wasn't even looking at that pair, and you made money. Don't listen to ICT about everything. Trust your gut. Well, this is one instance where you don't trust your gut, and you should be listening to me. I'm talking to the analyst in you, not the trader. This is the brain trust inside of you. This is the person that you're going to place all your trust in. Not me, not your friends in some chat room. You. The person that's really going to push that button to get in and get out. The person that's really going to put the stop loss on and not pretend that I know where I want to get out. Well, flexibility in yourself, your expectations and your own performance. But that is also going to have to incorporate hard rules. I cannot take a trade when circumstances are like this. What is that? The day after a bank holiday, a day after a long weekend. Those things are, man, they're snares. There's going to be some days where it is really rip and tear off, and it's wonderful to be a part of those moves. But they're not always like that. They're more likely to not be like that. And what is it that I'm concerned about that keeps me from wanting to be a participant in it right now? And what would take me completely out of the game for Forex? Because right now I'm just taking a hiatus from it. I'm not trying to participate in it. I'm engaging it for analysis purposes, but I'm not actively placing live money in Forex right now. So I'm with real money in futures index trading. That's real money going behind that. If these are going to be subject to a global reset, and there's talks about each country having a digital currency, I think that's just going to be the final step before they all come together and say, you know what, it's just better if we just come to an agreement that we're going to just use one currency. That kills Forex. Now, as long as that doesn't happen, Forex will exist. There will be opportunities in Forex. But here is the concern I had. This is the thing that I'm paying a great deal of attention to, and why I'm not willing to put my money at risk in it. Years ago, there was a depegging from the euro and Swiss franc. And when that happened, and you've heard me mention this before in passing, there is no safety net for you. There's no safety net for me. And stop losses will do nothing to protect you, because it reprices hundreds and thousands of points instantly. No one in financial institutions, brokerage firms, hedge fund managers, they were all made insolvent, bankrupt, and they don't exist anymore. When that one event happened, and it was depegged, it was instantaneous murder. I see that coming. I see that coming not just for one currency, but potentially all of them. I don't want to be in something like that. I can't sleep at night knowing that I could be in a move where I have no control or escape mechanism or means of mitigating risk or reducing it to a measurable risk that I'm willing to take on as a speculative position. Now, I don't have that fear or concern with the equities market. Now, is that to assume that I don't think that they can have a crash or a sudden drop? They can, absolutely can. But I don't think that's as likely as the currencies. Think about it. And I honestly believe that Bitcoin will go to zero. I wasn't, pulling your chain or anything. I honestly believe it will. And here's the reasons why. I'm going to say this soberly so that way you understand my opinion on it, and you're welcome to agree with it. I've had people come at me aggressively in email saying, you're wrong, I'm going to laugh at you, whatever. Laugh, I don't care. I don't have anything in the race. That means that my opinion is more objective than those that have money into it. So you need it to work. You need it to exist. I could care less. And I called moves in it, up and down. But here's the logic as the reason why I believe it's going to go to zero. And I believe all the current coins are going to go to zero. It's going to have that mechanism that people have faith in, but they have to have sacrifices. The sacrificial lambs that have to come in and say, okay, we learned our lesson with this coin and that coin and this one and that one. And something has to die off to evolve. There has to be a catalyst to institute change. And that has to come by pain. It can't be done gradually. It can't be a slow transition to, hey, there's a better coin. Let's all leave the ones we have our money in and go into this one. It has to be shock and awe. That's what they're all being herded into. When I say all asset classes are being treated this way. Because if they really are going to pull this great reset off, there is no safe haven. Even equities, commodity prices are going to be the only thing that are going to be real. And they're going to probably be hyperinflated next year. So, ultimately, I think you need to prepare yourself for things just not being anything like normal. Trading's going to probably get real difficult for a period of time. And as long as you have that in your head, knowing that this is likely to happen, you won't lose your mind when it occurs. And you'll be patient and wait for things to unfold. Go through it. Because you're not going to stop it. I can't stop it. I have no solution or any alternative means of speculating. That's why I'm going to where I started. I'm back at my roots. See, you think I'm just a Forex guy. That's just what I'm known for. I spent the majority of my teaching in the last 12 years or so specifically dealing with Forex. But in 1992, I started as a commodity trader. And I've been teaching really since 1996. Now, if things develop in a way where maybe these central bank digital currencies that all of these countries are talking about doing, that might bring a short period of excitement in Forex as a result of all those types of things. And then obviously I'll be back in there, going ham on Forex pairs. But until we get through this round of elections, because I could really go on a tinfoil hat exposition here and just go in like you would never understand why I had all these opinions on just one conversation. It would have to take, discussions after discussion. Because if I say the things I want to say, some of you will have 1,000 questions, or you'll come away from this one thinking, okay, he's not really tightly wrapped. And some of you probably think that now anyway. It's okay. But I just believe that it's better for me in my personal finances. If I'm going to assume risk, I would prefer to be in something I trust and where I think the moves are predictable and less likely to have adverse, sudden collapses. And that's a black swan event. When I tweet or talk about that, or I mention it in video, we're in black swan season, meaning that something is on the horizon, off in the distancing, where we can't really know what direction it's coming from, but I know it's going to be in currencies. How can it not be? Think about it. And if this global reset is to be believed, what's their agenda? What's the reason for them to want to do it? It comes down to control. Control the number. Control the money. Period. It's got to be a number of people that they can manage. And there's too many of us right now. And a lot of people look at what we do as a means of income. And they do. They run their own businesses through speculation. Some of them do better than others. Some of them do exceedingly well. So if there's going to be a global reset and the agenda is control, and how do they control people? Food, which is why I told everybody a year and a half ago that food would be weaponized. And look around, folks. If it ain't happening in your area, give it some more time, because it will. And the other thing is money. Control the peoples in all of the countries. Control the population. Instill fear. What's the easiest way to instill fear? Make it impossible to feed your kids. Fill your hungry belly. Make your ends meet. Pay your bills. So if that's true, and this is what they're trying to do, and there's going to be a global reset, currencies by default is at the top of the list. And I know the crypto space believes in their heart that the coins that they have in their possession right now, if you want to call it that, is the solution. That's the answer. That's the solution coin. If not, at least good old Bitcoin will be. And I don't believe it's going to be. Now, does it go straight down to zero in a complete, just free fall? Obviously, I would be foolish to say, no, that can't happen, because it could happen. But I believe it's going to keep making lower lows, and these short-term little rallies that get everybody thinking the bottom's in, and you'll see all these guys come out and they're cheerleading. Yeah, it's going up. It's going to the moon. They do that in all markets, so that way people will do what? Buy it, put stops underneath the lows. Because right now there is no liquidity down there. One has their stop down there below the low that just recently was made. Nobody has their stop loss under there until they create a rally and more people buy. Or they go down to that low again, revisit it, and fail to break lower, then rally it. And it makes everybody think it's a 1, 2, 3 bottom, or a double bottom, or a failed swing. And then when they buy that, they put stop losses under there. That's all engineering liquidity. That's exactly what I explained at 20,000. And it happened. And you're going to keep seeing that. You might see a little bit larger intermediate term. Look at your daily chart on Bitcoin. There's a big old gap. I think it might go up into that a little bit. But I don't look at that and think, oh, it's going to 50 and 60,000 and then 100,000 Bitcoin. No, it's just to get you suckers in here to buy it. Then put stop losses that don't exist yet. And then they're going to run it down there deeper. Why would they want to do that? Because they're heavily short. They're heavily short. And to get out, they got to have what? Somebody willing to sell it to them lower than the market is right now. And you get that by having sell stops engineered. That's market making 101, folks. And if you don't understand that, you sure as hell shouldn't be in the market with real money. So you can stop sending me emails. Okay. I've had so many emails pushed to me. Are you saying that Bitcoin this and Bitcoin that? I don't want to talk about Bitcoin, but I have so many students that are losing their minds right now. Understand, this is a reminder. I do not trade. I have never traded. I don't own any coins. I'm not secretly fading anything. I'm not trying to, create fear so that way everybody sells their coins and I buy them up. Like, I've had some serious nutters send me emails thinking I'm got an agenda behind all this stuff. I just don't want you to get hurt. When I thought it was going to go up, folks, I told you, I'll tell you when it's going to go to 20,000. I told you when it was going to go to 30,000. It happened. I said it was going to go to 50, 52. 62 is about to get it. I don't see it going higher than that. And it just fell short of 70. And where's it at now? I only talk when I know strongly that this is likely to occur. So I'm telling you, I think it's going to go to zero. Is it going to happen today? By the end of the year? I don't know that timing. But it's not exempt. See, you want to believe the fairy tale that you're going to get around the central banks. You're not. You're not. They own everything. They own everything. The conglomerates, the brands. You like Ford? They own that. Yep. They own that too. Oh, but Tesla, Elon Musk, he's something different. No, he's part of it. Yeah. See, y'all think you got a choice. You don't have a choice. It's an illusion. These people have a part. They're all part of the same theater act. And that is unfavorable of a viewpoint to most people. They can't believe it. They can't see it. Because that would be diabolical. And that's what we live in, a diabolical world. See, these people, and there's not many of them, very small group of people, but these people own everything. And what I'm seeing coming, I'm alarmed, and you should be alarmed too. Not panicking, not freaking out, losing your sleep and such, but you should be taking initiatives that lead to reducing risk, because it's going to get parabolic, not just in the States, but everywhere. Because if this thing is really going to unfold, and they're going to try their damnedest to make sure it does, currencies, whether it becomes effective globally, that there's a reset, or whether it's attempted to be done, currencies will be untradeable. How long, I don't know. But because I don't know that, is it fit for me to put millions of dollars behind speculating in that asset class? Not knowing what's likely to occur, but knowing that it's not going to be good. That's going to be adverse conditions. So some of you that are only trading Forex are thinking to yourself, what the hell? What am I supposed to do? Just be careful. Don't trade with large leverage. Look at it this way. Imagine whatever you're trading moves 500 pips in one tick. What would that do to your account? If it wipes you out, you're trading too big. Oh, but I can't get rich. This is not the time to get rich. How many times you got to be told? If we see multiple currencies have like a Euro, Swissy depegging event, that would be the end of me trading Forex forever. I would never touch it again. So that way you understand. I get a lot of questions. What would it take for me to not want to trade Forex ever again? Right now, I want to trade Forex, but right now I know that it's a rattlesnake right now. It's shaking its tail, and you knew that sound. You probably never had a rattlesnake in front of you, but guess what? If you had your eyes closed and you were taking steps in an unknown path, and you start hearing that, you're not wanting to walk anymore. Immediately, you got a picture of a rattlesnake coiled up right now in your mind. Everybody understands what that sound is. Well, I'm looking at Forex, and it's making that sound to me. So I don't want to walk into something knowing full well, and I've publicly made this known now, that I'm likely to be a victim of such a sudden repricing that stop losses will not help you. Period. So you have to, if you're a speculator, if you're an investor, you got to go to where an asset class that makes the most sense. And right now, it's stock index futures. You have to study. You got to pour into this everything. Do it for a year. It's 1 year, folks. 1 year. Why a year? Because you're going to see all the seasonal influences that take place over the full calendar year. That's experience. That's a perspective that you cannot appreciate until you see it. Then you have that going into the next year. And if you journaled, you compare and contrast. When you start a new month, okay, what did I experience last September? What did I experience last October? And what was it like the last 3 weeks of December? And what was it like in January? you're going to have something as a baseline, and you do that every single year. But I'm going to tell you something, folks. Once you have consistency, let me tell you something, what's never going to happen. You're never going to want to talk about what you're doing to some family anymore. You're not going to want to do that because you're going to know right away, these people work. And there's nothing wrong with working, folks. But working folks don't like to see other people get out of that livestock pen. They don't want to be champion somebody else because that would be like taking energy and directing it to someone else to do well instead of directing it to themselves and for them to do well. So why are you surprised? They're indoctrinated. You're not going to wake them up. You're not going to stir them up by you telling them that you're going to work your ass off and you're going to learn how to do this and you're going to speculate way more income potential than any other job that you would ever fall into or get degrees with. It ain't never going to be compared. It isn't going to be in the same vicinity, the neighborhood, the zip code. You're not going to. What's stopping you? You have it now. It's done. It's on those videos. Study it. You got to work for it. It doesn't mean I watch the videos, therefore I should know. No, you watch the videos and I tell you what you should be looking for. Then you have to do the work. You have to do that. If you fail, I did not fail you. You failed you. Own it, man. Own it. I failed myself for the first few years until I realized I'm the problem. And then when I realized what those issues were that I was struggling with, perfection. I didn't want to lose ever. I felt that there was a way for me to trade and never have a losing trade. There is a way to trade with a high degree of accuracy, but it requires you to trade very selective. I just taught you that. You use the economic calendar. High impact, medium impact news events, period. Times of day, days of the week, and seasonal influences. This is the really real. This is the stuff that I needed to know and hear and be reassured that, guess what? Just because everybody else around didn't believe I was going to be able to do this, that I was going to fail. Listen, I'm a simple person that so many people around the world know my name because I persevered. And I saw it and cried to the Lord and asked him, please, open my eyes so I can see this. And if you do that, I will spend the rest of my life helping others with it. And that will be my ministry. Whether you want to be a churchy kind of guy or not, that's why I do this. I live my life like this because it's my promise. And I'm telling you, I am continuously blessed. Whether you want to say I'm great or you love or appreciate what I do, it doesn't matter. It does not matter whether you do that to me or not, because I know what he does in my personal life. Without him, nothing I put my hands to will work. Nothing. My health would fail. My mental faculties would evaporate. Cars, homes, money, all that stuff can change. Like Job. It can happen to that. And guess what? I don't care if he takes all of it, because my relationship with him is the most important. I've tasted wealth. I've tasted rich. I've tasted more money than I'd ever spent in my entire life. And I can tell you, if I didn't have Jesus Christ in my life, I would be miserable. And if that bothers you, unsubscribe. Because I'm going to tell you, the more times I talk like this, I'm going to talk about him. And if that ruffles your feathers, I'm sorry. Oh, this guy talking like a sailor, he's going to bring Jesus up. I'm a sinner. I am a sinner. I'm not perfect, folks, but my heart is right. And what I'm trying to do, I'm looking out for all of you. And the only way I can, I have something that I've been blessed with. And I believe that if he didn't want me doing this, he would shut it down. He would not let other people find success in it. And guess what? They're doing it. And that inspires me. That gives me fuel to keep doing this. When you show appreciation, understand this. And I'm so tired of saying this. I see every comment. It only takes a second for me to scroll through, and I'm not reading every single word, but I'm getting the gist of what you're saying, especially the long ones. I don't have time to sit and look through all of it. But usually, people say, "Oh man, thank you, you're the GOAT." Stop calling me a GOAT. Stop calling me a king. Just say thanks. I appreciate what you've done. And you know what? It means so much to me. I am not this little pathetic little man child out there that needs to be called the GOAT. I don't need any of you to tell me what I'm giving you is gold. I know it. It's been in my hands for 30 years. And I love that he makes it possible that I can share this with all of you. I'm such a privileged person to be able to do this and live my life doing it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I live, eat, sleep, breathe this. I love it. It is absolutely, I am the embodiment of whatever a mentor would ever want to be and should be. I'm living it. I'm not taking anything from you. I'm pouring myself into you. I'm pouring it. I'm not reserving it. I'm laying it in your hands. The only thing I want you to do is be real with it. And when I ask other people to credit me, guess what that's doing? And I'm going to say this, I'm going to close it. I don't want you fluffing me up, because when you all hear who the source is and it takes you right back to me, guess who gets the credit? Not me. Jesus Christ is the one that opened my eyes to all this stuff. With him, I was able to figure this stuff out. And in time, I'll probably give you more testimony to how all these things happen. And you're probably not going to believe any of it, but I don't care. Okay? I don't care if you believe it. But some of you want to know, and I'll share it. But I don't care if you believe it, because it doesn't change the facts. It is what it is. And you may be an atheist. You may be someone of another religion. I'm not religious. I don't have a religion. I'm not here to try to convert anybody, because that doesn't work. Unless the Spirit of God draws a man, that's it. So if I say, because I believe, and you're offended by that, well, that's a character flaw on your part. Because you tune in to me because you want to know my perspective. What am I thinking? Why do I feel a certain way about something? Why do I look at something as an opportunity, and what makes it not an opportunity? And how did I get to this understanding? Where did I come from? What did I go through? What did I have to endure? And what was my source of strength, encouragement? I've told you. And some of you aren't going to accept that. That's fine. Your skill set, focus on that. Because I promise you, as I mentioned many times before, if you learn how to do this well, it is easy for money to fall into your hands. And that can happen overnight through funded accounts, partnerships with someone. Because guess what, folks? That's legal too. You can literally go into partnerships and they fund the account, and you are the person that would be operating the trades and executing, and you split 50-50. There's plenty of people that want to do things like that. Or if you have money saved up and you get your skill set to where it would be to be consistent, then you just go in with your own money. There isn't one way, okay? I give you multiple ways to do this. You just have to figure out which one you're going to do after you learn how to do it. That's the number one priority right now. Preparing yourself so that way you can. And once that occurs, greed will always exist. It will always exist. It's going to be there. People are going to be looking for ways to make more money real soon. And guess what you're going to be? You're going to be that person that can do that for them. How empowering will that be? So you listened to what I said in the last live and got depressed. Like somehow it's the end of the world and no hope. It's all from here. But you can literally change the whole dynamic of your entire life just by simply learning this skill set. Once you have it, it's a skill set that will serve you. And when things get crazy, people are going to be losing their jobs and they're going to be scrambling to make money. And there's a lot of people with a lot of money that will not have faith in who they were working with before. All you got to do is be able to prove you can do it. And money will literally line up for you.